These stones are not ordinary, and they could not be. For 12,000 years they remained silent until today, and now they whisper this to us. Civilization began much earlier than we thought. This is Göbekli Tepe. We are going back 12,000 years, to a time without writing, without turning wheels, without founded cities, but to the very moment when something great began. Close your eyes and let us go to 1963, to Şanlıurfa, to southeastern Turkey. There was a German archaeologist. His name was Klaus Schmidt. He was only 11 years old, but 31 years later, in 1984, at exactly 42 years old, he would climb a hill. It was an ordinary hill where shepherds grazed sheep, filled with grass and stones. The local people called this hill Göbekli Tepe. Schmidt would bend down on the hill, dig into the soil, dirt would fill between his fingernails, and there he would touch something. Hard, flat, and man-made, a stone. But this was such a stone that in 1995 it would change world history, rewrite it, and begin the excavation. Giant T-shaped stones, exactly 5 meters high, weighing 10 tons. These standing stones had carvings on them. Snakes, scorpions, foxes, wild boars, vultures, human hands, abstract symbols. They formed a sacred space, and the carbon-14 test results came in. 9,600 before Christ. 11,600 years ago, the beginning of the Neolithic Age. And this date would turn everything upside down. Because what historians knew was this. First comes settled life, then agriculture, cities, and temples. That was the order. But Göbekli Tepe said no to this. First came the temple, because those who built Göbekli Tepe were nomads, hunters, and gatherers. On the contrary, they had no villages, no fields, but they had temples. And this was illogical, impossible, but real. The stones were there, they were not lying. And Schmidt kept digging. Every summer he came, he excavated, and he found more and more circles. And he understood that Göbekli Tepe was never a single temple. It was a complex of temples, dozens of circles, hundreds of massive standing stones. And the deeper they went, the further back in time it went. And one more thing became clear. After being used, these temples were deliberately and intentionally buried, filled with soil, with stones, with animal bones, and a new temple was built on top. And this cycle continued for centuries. Build a temple, use it, bury it, build a new one, as if each generation had to create its own sacred space, as if the temples grew old, as if their spiritual energy was depleted. And now let us slow down. It is 9,500 before Christ, autumn season. Evening has come and the sun is setting, and a group of people are climbing Göbekli Tepe. Maybe 50 people, maybe 100. Men, women, and children. They are wearing leather clothes, carrying baskets full of food, wild grains, nuts, and dried meat. When they reach the hill, they see that the ground has been carefully leveled, and a circle appears, then 20 of them, in an oval arrangement. And in the center, 2 gigantic stones, 5 meters high, T-shaped pillars. And these stones are not just stones, they are people. The top of the T is the head, the body is the torso, the arms are there, and hands are carved on them. And the group approaches slowly, silently, respectfully, and they enter the circle. They light a fire in the center, flames rise, shadows dance, animal figures seem to come alive. Snakes coil, foxes run. There is a shaman, an aged man, paint on his face, red ochre, white line, and he plays a drum and sings. But we do not know the language. It was never written. It consists only of sounds. And when they wake up in the morning, they are different, changed, renewed, and they descend from the hill, returning to daily life. But that moment on the hill, that ritual, became the center of their lives, because that moment makes them human, not animals, conscious, spiritual. And now a question. Hunters, gatherers, nomads, people struggling to survive. Why did these people spend so much energy? How did they carry 10-ton stones? With no tools, no wheels, no metal, nothing. Only stone picks, rope, and human strength. Scientists calculated that erecting a single standing stone required 500 hours, and there are hundreds of standing stones at Göbekli Tepe. That means tens of thousands of hours of labor. And why did these people do this? It did not produce food, it did not provide shelter. Was it only spiritual satisfaction? And perhaps the answer is this. Göbekli Tepe was the cause of agriculture, because if hundreds of people were coming to this hill regularly and performing rituals, food was needed. And a lot of food contradicted a nomadic life. Stability and storage were required. Perhaps this is why agriculture began. Perhaps people became settled for the temple, continued to plant crops for the gods. And if this is true, then religions are not the product of civilization, but the cause of civilization. First came belief, then everything else followed. And this is a deep idea, a very disturbing idea. Because until today it was thought that rationality is what moved us forward, that science and logic carried us ahead. But perhaps not. Perhaps imagination, perhaps the ability to believe in unseen things is what advanced us. And now, keep imagining with your eyes closed. On that hill, the stones are still there, waiting silently. There are more temples under the soil, not yet excavated. Perhaps 5% has been revealed. Perhaps 5% is still buried. And who knows what secrets are there, what unknown symbols and stories. Perhaps one day we will learn them all. The temple is not outside, it is inside, in your heart. And every night, every sleep is a ritual, a renewal, a connection. Sleep peacefully. Good night.